Welcome to another episode of The Drive presented by Oddschecker. I'm your host, Andy Lack. I am joined, as always, by my good friend, Geoffrey Fienberg. Um, you are 2 for 2, I believe, in this video in the last 2 weeks. I was not as wise to follow your Hideki advice, but congratulations on another outright for the show. Happy to keep the momentum going in what was a quite a disappointing week for your boy over here. But glad you were able to come through with Hideki. That was a great bet. That was kind of like fit perfectly with the narrative that I was going for. And I just bet kind of everybody around Hideki with the same skill set as Hideki. But congratulations on the big Hideki outright. And hopefully we can keep it rolling this week in Colorado.
Thank you, Andy. Not gonna lie, a couple weeks ago, I thought I gotta drag myself to the finish line of this golf season, and since then I've hit a couple in a row. Could have been three in a row. If Rom or Tommy could have come home with that Olympic gold
Yeah,
medal, but no complaints. And hey, feels like the last real golf tournament of the year, right? I mean, we'll be back next week to talk about the Tour Championship and various markets that tickle us, but for all intents and purposes, this is sort of it in terms of a pre-tournament like authentic bet.
totally agree. I mean, Eastlake already feels like a pre-scripted Scotty Xander duel. It's tough enough for PGA Tour players to beat them when they're starting at zero. Um, you give Scotty and Xander a couple strokes on half the field, and that feels a bit preordained. But everybody's starting at zero this week, and we're going to a new golf course in Castle Pines. I shouldn't necessarily say new because they've hosted a PGA Tour tournament here in the 90s and early 2000s called the International. But we're playing at extreme altitude. I don't know how much golf that you've ever played, Jeffrey, in the Rocky Mountain region. I've played a bit, not in quite some time. And it's different. It's different. I would not be surprised, I would not be surprised if players shot a lot lower scores than maybe people would expect on an 8,000 yard golf course, because this golf course is certainly not going to play 8,000 yards. It's going to play a lot less than that, probably in the 73, 7,400 zone. So it's still quite a long test. But how are you feeling about Castle Pines? I've watched some videos and flyovers on it, and I got to say, I'm pretty excited. I think it's a golf course that we're going to see a lot of birdies. I don't think it's going to be super insanely hard or anything, but I think it's going to be awesome on television.
Let me ask you, Andy, what sort of player profile? I mean, we'll get to the player, but
Here's what I
is
here's
is there anyone that you would like really want to back in terms of what sort of skill set?
yes.
And is there a type of skill set that you're like, if that's your strength, it's just
Yes.
not something I want to buy in?
Yes. So this golf course, the way that I described it is Valhalla with Augusta's terrain. So it's Valhalla with wild hills. So when I tell you this is Valhalla with Augusta's terrain, what does that make you think? Who does that make you think?
Valhalla with Augusta's terrain. I mean, I guess, I mean, Xander,
Yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I haven't
You
betted.
you get you get what I where I'm you get what I'm you're picking up what I'm putting down there though, right? Like kind of wide off the tee, long irons, you know, you look at the guys that played well at Valhalla, Bryson, Xander, Hovland, Dietrich, right? Hit the ball a long way off the tee, long irons, but not like super hard grinded out. You know what I mean? So you look at some of the players that have played super well at Valhalla and Augusta, and Muirfield Village is another Jack Nicklaus design where the superintendent from Muirfield Village actually is now the superintendent at Castle Pines. So I don't think this golf course is going to play like remotely as hard as Muirfield Village, but I think aesthetically and obviously architecturally they're both Jack Nicklaus courses. There's a lot of similarities there.
Would you thinking it's a birdie fest? Does that bring more of the board into play for you? Because I mean, we're gonna get to the picks in a moment, but when we get to these FedEx Cup events, even the elevated fields. Truth be told, Andy, I look at them much like I used to look at like the WGCs of a past era, not the Tiger dominating era, which is its own thing, but 18 of 20 in a row were sort of just won by like cream of the crop golfers. Whether it was, Rory, JT, DJ, Hideki, like, they would just stack these sorts of things. Does the Birdie Fest aspect make you think that I don't know, someone can crash this party that I really don't think has a chance?
Not really. I mean, and I shouldn't say I don't think this is going to be a pure crazy birdie fest. I think it's going to be about as difficult as TPC Southwind was, which, to me on the PGA Tour, 18 under, is no longer a birdie fest on the PGA Tour. It used to be, but like a birdie fest on the PGA Tour to me is 20 under plus. And keep in mind, you know, two of the last five BMW championships have been won at 20 under par. So this is typically a tournament that the PGA Tour has no problem setting up on the easier side. And the last five winners at the BMW Championship have all been under 25 to 1. So, I mean, you look at it, and it's like, dude, at this point, like Xander and Scotty win just as many birdie fests as they do hard golf courses, right? Like they're just better than everybody else. So I don't really think it changes my calculus too much on like the Xander. I'm not betting any of them, but I don't think it changes my calculus that much on the Xander Scotty contingent if this golf tournament is won at 10 under par, 18 under par. And I do think it will be won at 18 under par. 20 under would surprise me a little bit, but in the range of outcomes. But I think we're looking at like 18 under zone probably.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I have made two bets already early this morning. One around 20 to 1, another at 40 to 1, Andy. So if you're under 20, I guess you could lead us off where you're going to start this thing.
I'm not under 20, but I'm at three guys in the 22 to 33 zone. And I think one will be very popular. One will be a little popular, and then one is kind of a buy low. Um, I bet Ludwig 22, Cantlay 26, Finau 33. Your reactions?
I like all of them. Those are none of the players I've bet, but three of the players that probably the three players I'm deciding to be my third bet. I think Ludwig is a lovely fit here. It looks like he struck the ball very well last week. Short game, a bit of an issue. I don't think this sort of represents the same challenge. Cantley, there's a lot of things. I almost bet him last week. A lot of things pointing to and Finau elevation and all that. He'd be a player I want to attack. So maybe this was the chalky thing to do this morning, but I bet Hovland.
Hovland and Wyndham.
I bet Hovland and Wyndham. And I had those bets before 9 a.m. And you come up from air.
I'm kidding.
You come up from air and now that they're very popular.
Yeah.
So I'd see
but you're an influencer also. Like you need to keep in mind that
yeah, but I think they were popular before my show even got released.
Yeah, that's likely.
Like sometimes you do that. Trust me, get the kids off to camp and do the show first thing in the morning. Next thing you see, it's like lunchtime, and hey, they're popular. Victor was 40 a week ago, and now he's 20.
Yeah.
So that's like, gosh.
Yeah.
You should have.
Did you catch a 25? Because he's
24.
He's 18 now, but they were. I was having a difficult time because I knew that I was betting three of the four, Ludwig, Cantlay, and Finau, and I missed the Hovland 24s, and it dropped to 18. And so I kind of was just like, all right, Hovland's going to be the last man out because I missed the best number. But my not betting Hovland is not a lack of endorsement for him. You could plug Hovland into my betting card with any of those three guys. I like him just as much as any of them.
And the thing with Victor, as I mentioned, he was 40 to 1 last week, and I didn't bet him. So part of you feels silly, like coming in at half the number. But with a player of that skill set, Andy, and also, it's obviously a player like myself and many other people are just a big fan of. I don't know. Like, I don't see that as a problem. Like Victor Hovland showing like serious life. It's like, okay. I'd rather have a discount at my at what I'm going to pay at quarterback, but I have no problem if my quarterback's good and I have to pay him a lot of money. So that's sort of
Yeah.
like in my mindset where like, okay, well now Victor's back, and it honestly feels like he's a different player this morning than he was a week ago. And I'm silly enough to jump in. I love all the three players that you mentioned, though. As for Wyndham Clark, I don't think the results have been as bad as like the narrative has been. There's been a
No.
lot of Jekyll and Hyde in his game, and he's got to just clean up the really ugly. But when you're a player of that like high end skill set, who's also showing signs of really high end golf, I just think it's like the smallest little thing that cleans up the ugly. Now that's my case for wanting to bet him. Obviously, it's a lot more than any sort of small thing, but he's a Colorado guy. He should just mash it out there. I do like Finau as well to if I'm going to piggyback in the 30s.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good buy low spot on Ludwig. I mean, people were betting Ludwig 16 to 1 to win major
But
championships, and he's 22 to 1. And I think one of the things, I'm sure you'll probably agree with this because you're a Ludwig guy as well. I like when Ludwig goes to golf courses that nobody else has seen either, because I
mhm,
think that he loses a little bit of an advantage going to these golf courses on the PGA Tour every week where he's the only freaking guy without course history. And I think when you level the playing field and put Ludwig on a golf course that nobody has seen before, then it turns less about experience and more about talent. And I'm taking Ludwig's talent over just about darn near any other player in this field that isn't in the single digits in odds.
I
So,
love that. I love
so
that thought. I would only counter to say my concern about Ludwig is it feels like he's hit like a maybe I'm like just making an excuse because as a big fan, I've been an apologist the last like month and a half, as it does feel like some of the results have slipped.
yeah.
And that in the same way we would talk about like a college football player who's a rookie and he starts to like
Well, I'm worried
slip.
that Ludwig's Herbert. Like Ludwig's got to
Hey,
win.
hey, come on.
That's the
Let's
comp.
just
It's got to
no,
be.
no, Hunvey.
What's the Herbert comp? Because I thought it was Cameron Young, and then I was like, I actually don't think like
I
I
don't
actually
want to
think
do this.
that's doing Herbert a disservice. Like Cameron Young's probably like Trevor Lawrence, and like Ludwig's probably Herbert.
I don't know, like does Ludwig have a generationally bad defense that like takes your comeback
He
win away?
he might have a generationally bad short game.
Well, he'll work on that. And as we, it wasn't too long ago where like short game was just something that developed a little slower than
Yeah,
the other parts.
yeah.
But I would say to my point about the college football thing is, we'll see a rookie be awesome and then he'll start to slip late November into December and people will be like, well, he's never played 16 games. College season's been over by now and maybe he's just a little exhausted because he also played a lot in the swing season and the Ryder Cup. So it's just been a long road for Ludwig. Like, so that would be my apologist take on his dip. But I love the fact I do like the course fit, and I didn't think of it as he gets to level up a bit when everybody is seeing a property for essentially the first time. That's it. I'm done. Ludwig, Victor, Wyndham, 3-man power card. Because if someone takes me out down the board, I just tip my cap to them. Say you did it. You deserve it. But I'm not looking down there. I'm just not. I'm just not. If this tournament goes down the board, you just have to clap for anyone who had the guts to make that bet. Because at this stage in the game, what Keegan Bradley and last year Lucas Glover, like it's so rare to me for these things to get sniped off. But anybody from a certain tier of player.
Yeah. I got an email today, Jeffrey, from the business development department of the Los Angeles Chargers,
Oh,
from Emily Martin asking me if it seems like this is her second email to me. I missed the first one, looking to set up a call to discuss um premium suite options for
we don't
home
need
games
that.
at SoFi Option. Well, I gotta say, Jeffrey, I love your Chargers. I love my Chargers because I'm an LA guy and I love the Chargers far more than the Rams. That's pretty dark if they're emailing me to buy premium suites because um I'm not the type of guy with the disposable income to buy premium suites to
Well, they
NFL
must
games
know it's
at
sort of.
this.
They see the websites, the the algo knows this guy's golfing here. Maybe you can't afford those suites, Andy. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they just got your email. We went to
Yeah,
you took me to a Chargers game once a couple years ago when
that's true.
I was down there. So maybe I don't know, some part of your algo knows that you're a mark. But yeah, no, you don't need that. You don't need
No,
that.
but I got the hookup. I'll put anyone listening who wants premium suites at SoFi. I can put you in touch with my girl Emily.
Couple
Um,
weeks, Andy, a couple weeks till football.
couple
Looking
weeks.
forward to it. And honestly, golf gets to end. We got to get off the circus for a few moments. That just feels
Couple
even off two
weeks.
winners in a row. Like even having hit two winners in a row here, I'm still like kind of looking forward to just getting off the cares
You know,
the wheel for a minute.
I bet my first win totals under.
Oh yeah, tell me.
I bet the Pittsburgh Steelers under 8.5
Yeah,
wins.
yeah, for sure.
Cool with
Uh,
that?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tomlin's
Yeah.
figured it out long enough. This is probably the year they don't.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, my tight 3-man card. There was like a Zalatoris 175
Wow.
that
That
I
was another
looked as
takeaway. Having
yeah,
not, I was out of town for the weekend. I didn't get to see much, but seeing the leaderboard, seeing how it ended up, seeing the Zalatoris score second to Hovland was just lovely to see. Guys who you know should be playing better starting to play better.
yeah, yeah. So that will do it from us, Jeffrey. Let's make it 3 weeks in a row. Just to recap, I am on Cantlay, Ludwig, and Finau. You are on Hovland and Wendy, and you're probably
Yeah, you. I'm
swimming
in. You got.
around.
I love Ludwig too much. I wasn't going to let you pick him. I'm not letting you pick him alone. And then I'm for my own peace of mind. If Cantley wins, whatever. Congrats. I'll miss it.
I thought 22 is a good number. Like, I wouldn't bet Ludwig this week at like 16, but like, I think 22 is a pretty good number on
Yeah, I
him.
think I got that last week. I even bet 365 had an advance up to like 28. I got suckered right in. He was
Yeah,
part of the card, but hey, had a winner behind him.
there you
So
go.
it doesn't matter.
Like and subscribe to the video, and we will be back next week breaking down East Lake. Cheers, Jeffrey.
Peace.